This is Bradford Thomason, writer and editor of The Rock-Afire Explosion.
And this is Brett Whitcomb, director, and I shot it and also some editing. I don't know who decided to do that long intro like that, but I like it.
I think when we started working on it, like, we felt like him pausing and thinking about it for so long kind of reflected, I guess, just all the work and time he put into it. And
he's also like super thoughtful. He like really like thought about everything we asked him. I'm not sure anyone had talked to him about this in a long time.
I've always been public with my childhood. I believe you should be a child at heart and don't be ashamed of it. You know, if there's something you dreamed you wanted to do when you was a kid, then do it.
So yeah, I remember I think you were searching, I don't know, in YouTube. This was like 2007 or 6 or something, and you sent me a video of Chris reprogramming the robots, and you sent me Bubba Sparks' Miss New Booty, and then like Usher's Yeah, and it had like 800,000 views, which was a lot of views in 2006.
yeah.
And
his accent really struck me. Like, he had like a really strong Southern drawl, and it was like, why does this guy have these robots from my childhood?
Mm-hmm.
Where is he?
Yeah, we had to email him like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times before he responded. I think he even tried MySpace or Facebook. I don't know what it was.
Well, yeah, MySpace.
Yeah, it was MySpace.
Definitely remember these commercials.
Oh, yeah. That was me. That was us going there. We had one in Clear Lake, Texas, that I would beg my parents to take me to.
These, yeah.
Pizza place was a restaurant in the 80s that was like a miniaturized version of Disney World.
It had the rides, it had the games, it had pizza, it had beer for your parents, and they had an animatronic show called The Rock-Afire Explosion.
Who did that title?
I gotta definitely give a shout out to like Greg and Mark Emerson and Andrew Langley, who, like, this looks good to me now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it does look good.
it looks good.
Yeah.
It's like 2007. Yeah, they killed it. Like, this was like their first pass too.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember like going back and forth on it at all. Super for Animals.
Yeah.
Out of Control.
This was your band. This was like a band that you liked and
Yeah,
you suggested we put in.
Obsessed with them at the time. I also thought it was funny that they were called Super for Animals. But I was really into their music a lot, and we honestly didn't think we could get it, but
Another cold email to like finding some manager's name on not Instagram, on like some social media somewhere, or just on a website, and cold emailing them and explaining the movie, and them just like going, sure, let's see the movie, and if we like it, we'll let you use the music.
My mom would drop me off at ShowBiz and go to the movies. That's the longest I've
Shout out to Canon XL1S with a zoom. That's a mini DV 4.3. Very first video camera that I worked 2 jobs and saved up money to buy.
was he lubricating the eyeballs there?
You have to.
Okay.
My mom absolutely hated the place, but whenever I had a birthday or a special treat,
Mike,
that's what I wanted to do.
wasn't he in Dallas?
Yeah.
In elementary school, ShowBiz would
Damon's awesome. Damon's like,
He's still in it.
yeah. I'm friends with him on Instagram, and he's still doing this exact thing right now. You can I think you can do a tour at his,
Yeah, Smitty's Super Service
Yeah.
Station.
yeah,
Right there.
he's still going.
and get free tokens.
And Travis still runs the website, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But the weeks leading up to it, the days leading up to it, I can remember the day of, it just seemed like it would never come. And then, we'd go and it'd be great, get to see the Rock-Afire Explosion, ride some of the rides.
He was really had a serious attitude about it all. Like, it was really important to him. All of them. That was always my question. You know? I mean, this is like the sort of central thing.
Then than it was when the show was playing, because they're just staring down at you like, what are you doing back here? You know, so I very quickly.
I definitely peeked behind the curtain too.
Yeah, and they did feel more alive. He's right. I mean, he really nailed it.
Looked around, there wasn't nobody there, and I walked right up in front of Beach Bear, and it's just like it was my breath almost, because I was never that close to him. And it was
I don't know how you can see anything following him out there.
that was kind of scary.
I'm sure I tripped a couple times when we redid it.
Position like that, so that weirded me out a little bit.
I mean, this was like my film school almost making this thing. I hadn't shot very much before this. I always wish that I had a wide angle camera
Sure.
lens on that camera to be able to like show the actual scope of that place when you walked in, because that doesn't do it justice. But I remember going back and forth on the edit going, how can we show it? And we just, the lens was, that's all we had.
Yep.
So we did that match cut. By the way, I haven't watched this, and I did not prepare to watch this at all.
This archive's great, though. I mean, this really, I think, sort of sums up how all the stuff she's talking about and making it, but also just how big it was. You know, I mean, there were news reports on it, and
and you have one member of the Rock-afire explosion.
My favorite Rock-afire character, hands down.
I love this. It's a whole montage dedicated to each character. Like, it's pretty fun.
And this is your music.
Yeah, this is mine. I did several pieces in here, and then Luke McKibben, who was also everything. It was really just the three of us who made this movie. He did a bunch of music in here too.
And it's just so cool to watch him close his eyes and he sits there and he's playing his organ and bobbing his head like Stevie Wonder, and he just gets so into it. You just gotta love the guy. He's the centerpiece of the show. He's right dead center. He's got this really cool flashy organ.
Yeah, folks, you're looking at the most sophisticated keyboard in the world, because this baby can make the sound of anything, from a cat's meow to a lion's roar, a pistol shot to a...
Fats is definitely probably the most memorable character.
Yep.
From when I was a kid. I mean, you just can't miss him.
Apathetic old men with a marked propensity toward procrastination and sloth.
Beach Bear is the lead guitarist of the band. You know, he does a lot of guitar solos. And he tends to like rock and roll music.
Yeah, that one was huge.
Almost an English major. He's always talked real appropriate. He seems to be really smart.
But the coolest thing about Beach Bear was he had his own spotlight for his guitar. So, you know, when he'd have his rock solos and he'd be rocking out on his guitar, you know, you could watch that spotlight come and shine on his guitar.
What were they thinking when they shot all this? They just went out.
Yeah, I guess these would play, the stuff that this is from would play like at
ShowBiz?
ShowBiz, yeah, like on TVs.
That's some...
To music videos.
Yeah.
And he can tear some drums up.
Is that a good drum kit right there? Ludwig, is that good?
Yeah, it's nice.
That's what makes him my favorite character, because
I think about how many they had to buy. I mean, they had
Oh, yeah.
255 locations.
I heard each, I don't know if this is correct, but I heard if you were to franchise a ShowBiz Pizza place back then, if you wanted to open one up, you had to pay the franchise fee, whatever, but you also had to buy the whole Rock-afire Explosion band, which was a couple $100,000.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Because I mean, as you kind of learn later, you just see the time that goes into this is just enormous.
Well, we must have just sat in there in Chris's. This is all shot at Chris's, right? All
I have
this stuff.
highly vivid memories of just spending hours in there, just hanging out and shooting this. I actually jokingly remember wanting to sleep in there, asking him if we could put.
We did sleep at Damon's.
Yeah, we did sleep at Damon's on the floor. We were broke. We rented an Astro van that had a CRT TV in it, and drove to all these locations. We didn't fly anywhere. We couldn't afford it, and we just piled in the van and drove and tried to make some kind of schedule.
He does little comedy skits.
I also remember we shot everything, we would go into the van and hook it up with
Oh, yeah.
component red and red, yellow, and
yeah.
whatever, and like plug it in yellow.
And watch our.
Yeah, and make sure I'm in focus and that everything was okay. We watch all the raw footage, the whole thing in the van.
Earl Shimurl is his hand puppet.
So yeah, so you went and you got all the cutaways of these, and then we also had Chris tell us about each one. And he had such, like, his descriptions were so vivid and like so, I mean, they were like almost descriptions that a child would give, because he's still has that connection to his childhood so strong.
Vocal lead for the Rock-Afire Explosion. She was voiced by Shalisa Sloan. Shalisa Sloan started singing Mitzi Mouse.
Yeah, everybody had such a
11 years old.
deep history. They loved this so much that they just knew everything about it.
Yep.
The passion is like incredible, and I think that's what drew us to this story. Was like movies we were watching, like Errol Morris and Vernon, Florida, and Gates of Heaven. The passion that the people in those documentaries, you know, had. I don't know. It just, when we got on the phone with Chris and we're emailing him, he was just incredibly passionate. We were just like, it made us excited.
The Rock-Afire Explosion were big in the 80s. And to me, anytime I look around...
Yeah, we slept on the floor in this building.
Yeah.
Resurgence. But there's a fan group out there, and their obsession is the Rock-Afire Explosion.
That's a great room. I think he's got this right now, just like this.
He has more stuff in there now.
It's awesome. Is that a Game Genie?
Yeah, and I mean that blowing those cartridges is hilarious.
They're not kidding. I mean, this was just there.
Yeah.
Also, the way he plays holds a controller is very interesting. Like, I've never. Did you hold a controller like that?
No, I see Tetris like champions do that.
Well, now he's holding it like I do.
To them, it strikes them as something odd. They don't really get it, but it's pretty much an everyday thing. It's not something I ever really take a vacation from. And it's one of those things that really has infiltrated most every little part of my everyday life.
I'm very into the 80s retro stuff. I collect all the toys. I've got a huge...
That's Luke McKibben's music.
Star Wars memorabilia. I basically have never parted with my childhood. And really the whole pizza and animatronic thing with ShowBiz and the Rock-Afire, it was my lifelong dream to own these guys.
That was a really strange one. The one behind him, I don't even know what it is offhand.
I love the 80s music. I love a lot of
This was at Aaron
Creative
Fechter's
engineering.
warehouse, and he had a room with some video games in them.
show so much because it was just, you can just go back 20 years in time and don't have to worry about nothing for a little while.
Got all that fur and that molding that looks amazing.
These are the videos that we saw.
Yeah, this is why we found it.
The recent YouTube Rock-Afire phenomenon, I guess you could call it, with Chris uploading Miss New Booty and Loving This Club and programming those newer shows.
Just saying Miss New Booty and with a straight face.
Completely straight face.
That's Chris's video.
Yeah.
I've seen the YouTube videos. I mean, he has got some amazing YouTube videos.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty, yes you do.
When I first got the show was really for me. I wanted it where ShowBiz Pizza place could never be took away from me again, because it was always going to be mine. And that was all I was really interested in. And when I started making my own shows and putting them on YouTube, it was just something for fun, you know. Let the other fans that was already a fan of the Rock-Afire, let them see them, you know, and give their opinion.
These are the videos that Chris had kind of showing you behind the scenes. And we saw just the room that he had him in, and just immediately we're like, what is that? Where is that?
And his passion, just
Yeah.
like, it makes me so inspired. Wow, so cool.
Bored, and I said, you know what? Just let me type this ShowBiz Pizza in. And sure enough, I come up on
Zoom in a pan.
this guy named Travis. He was a fan also, and he realized that, you know, there was nothing out there.
Bud Light.
He brought a lot of fans
Oh, yeah.
together that I didn't even know existed. I thought maybe I was just crazy or something, and just couldn't let go of it. And but actually, there's a lot of people just like me, you know, except I'm lucky enough to have the show, you know. It really surprised me. It really did, because I just had no idea. Cause
I have one of those XXX bottles in my mom's house.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
If I went to Chuck E. Cheese and I asked somebody about
I got something, a drum machine, but it doesn't work anymore.
I have the XXX bottle, and I have the moon.
Nice. The moon's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I would have liked to have had an Antioch Spider.
fan community of people that feel the same way I do. And that made me feel a lot better.
Also, shout out to the flip phone.
I was where I needed to be.
Chris Rash contacted me probably about 5 years ago, 2002, 2003.
Wow. Webcam.
Love this whole
He was looking for information, anything you could find.
thing here.
Wondering if I had any for sale, which at the time I didn't. And I referred him to Aaron Fector in creative engineering.
Chris Thrash called me one day, and he was.
Oh, there's Aaron.
What a fan he was.
This was interesting story because at first, when we first started making the movie, it was only about the fans.
Yeah. Chris.
Yeah, it was about Chris. Really, it just kind of snowballed the whole movie once we started making it. But Aaron reached out and said, "Oh, I love this footage. So great. He's so happy
Yep.
in this footage." But Chris emailed us and was like, Aaron emailed us and was like, "Hey, let me know if I can do anything to help." And we were immediately like, "We'd love to interview you." And next thing you know, we were in Orlando.
Yep. Oh, and he's as much a part of this story as Chris is now. I mean, as it turned out.
Creative engineering that made the characters are still open for business. They had a few shows left. And after about a year, persuaded Aaron Fector, the owner of Creative Engineering, to sell.
I bet Sandy filmed this.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I don't have a bunch of money just to throw out like that, because
He rented like a huge truck.
and all that.
Love it.
To make things work. So I had at first I had the stress of that. I was like, here I am right here at the door. I've got it open now. What am I going to do with it? So I had a full-time job. I had a part-time job, DJing at the skate rink. If I had to cut grass, if you wanted me to
He's got a cigarette.
Yep.
I would do almost anything to get up the money. So for
This is pretty much how I felt wanting to buy equipment to make a movie.
Was that his? He was DJ Smurf. He had his own thing on the wall. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, love. It's like neon too.
from Creative Engineering, the guy Aaron, he had Aaron Fector, the owner of Creative Engineering, helped load the truck. Him and another guy. He had a forklift, which is very.
Aaron probably had 3 forklifts.
The original crates.
That's cutting it close there.
Yeah.
They hadn't been open since 1983 when they was made. So they was brand new.
So happy.
I believe it took 7 hours to load the truck. And that was like non-stop. We didn't eat. We didn't do nothing until the show was loaded on the truck and the door was shut.
So we want to thank everybody for joining us today on Chris Thrash Day here at Creative Engineering.
Chris Thrash Day.
Tandy, you sit down. Good girl. All right, and we'll see you all later.
He's tired.
Yeah,
They are tired. Another match cut. Look, we like that. Third one.
There are people in this world who just don't seem to fit into standard categories.
Well, some people say I'm a puppeteer.
Aaron had a lot of this footage, and you captured it directly into your camera, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I got a mini DV tape, hooked it up to a TV and a VCR, and then he used some kind of time-based corrector to fix the you know, some kind of issues it was having, and then I recorded it onto a mini DV. I didn't want to leave his building without getting this stuff on, you know, on mini DV.
Right.
And I don't think he wanted to like part with the tapes because they were like beta, and we were like, how do we even transfer this?
Yeah, we definitely weren't sending him off to a post house or anything.
His dreams so fast that the group of talented people he leads has to run just to keep up at times.
Okay, so come on in. This is, of course, the mess we call creative engineering. One time Michael Jackson came to visit us, and I was so embarrassed about the mess, and it was that I didn't bring him in here. I brought him to one of the shops that we had, another one of the shops we had that was all cleaned up, and he wasn't that entertained. I should have brought him over here and shown him our mess. In discussing creative engineering, I have to start at the beginning, which is really 1973. That's when I graduated.
I also had a little 3-point light kit with like, you know, like with the little hair lights and stuff.
They even said we were running out of gas. So I wanted to do something for the world, something for the energy crisis, and I built this little car.
Aaron, he was when he was getting started out here, he was kind of a genius, you know, like, and charming, and just seemed like any idea that popped in his head, he just made it, like worked until he made it.
Mm-hmm.
This leaf eater thing, you know, like, and he still has all these too. Remember he talked about how he still uses a leaf eater in his pool?
Yep. Well, I mean, the fact that he invented or helped invent or the whack-a-mole, I mean, one of the most iconic toys, game machines.
Kind of sarcastically, and he said, "So you're an inventor, huh?" I said, "Yes." Well, he says, "Well, an inventor can invent anything." I said, "Yes, I can invent anything." And so he says, "Well, could you invent a control system to control a shooting gallery for an amusement park?" I said, "Sure." Yeah, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I figured I could do it. I had an electronics background.
I went into it weirdly. Don't ask me why I was in Bass Pro Shop, but I was. And they have a machine just like this inside. Yeah, like a shooting gallery. It does the same exact thing.
Yeah, we saw one at a steakhouse recently.
And before you know it, I was building a whole shows.
I like to play baseball.
That's Aaron.
Yeah.
Singing.
This song gets stuck in my head.
By 1978, I took an entire show. It's called the Wolfpack 5 to the IAAPA. And the crowd was amazed by it. And by 1979, it was...
That's a cool photo.
I love that photo.
Something big. And when I found the talented people who knew how to produce the sculptures, they could really sculpt that gorilla. It was just like a gorilla. And the people who could paint, you know, the airbrushers, and the electronic engineers who could, instead of my little wire-wrapped boards, they could actually...
How fun to be a part of this, being like out of college or in college, just trying to make some money, and you're helping make all this stuff.
I love all this stuff where you have, I mean...
There's painting, there's mold making, there's pieces that you make out of rubber. You sculpt them out of clay, you make them out of rubber, you pull them out of mold.
He's really like he wants us to know like how much work and time went in on every little piece to this. It's like he's so passionate about it, just like Chris is.
Well, and it's still so close to him. I mean, he's right there in that warehouse where it all happened every day.
Right.
And like it's all around him, even though it stopped all these years before. I will say that those movements, they're a certain type of movement, and you know they have a robotic, and they're pneumatic and kind of primitive like technology, but they still stuck with us. You know, like they still felt alive, and there's still something about them that feel more alive than, you know, even some like CG things I see sometimes weirdly. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Mini Mac valves just constantly going, so it takes a lot of air to run them.
Phoenix City. I remember when we went there, us being from Houston, I'd never really seen, very often I'd never seen like leaves turn color like that, you know, because we don't really have falls in Houston.
Totally, yeah, it was like beautiful driving in.
A lot of crime, like gangsters and stuff. But they cleaned that up many years ago. There's absolutely no gambling allowed here now, and they really cleaned the place up a lot. It's really quiet town. Nice place to live. I live in a small house, but I don't like having a big house. It's just more to keep up with, and it's more cozy here. I like it, and I like the neighborhood. I've left my house before to go to the store and just left all the lights on and the doors unlocked, and I didn't worry about it. My house has only been broke into one time, and believe it or not, that was a friend. So, as far as the neighborhood itself,
I love his shirt.
Yeah.
I could look for a better place. It's really quiet here. Well, it's all I drink. I don't drink tea. I don't drink water. I don't drink any other dark-colored sodas.
Yeah, that was in his house, that one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I drink probably a little more than 2 liters a day. Depends on how long I stay up. No specific reason. I just.
Every cup is ShowBiz Pizza.
I love all those. Those are probably $20-30 a piece on eBay now.
Right?
What was he doing with his truck there?
I have no idea.
I know a few of my neighbors. Of course, I know my next door neighbor. There's kids coming over all
Oh, these kids were great.
Yeah, they were.
on the other side of me that
They were just out there hanging out, and then we started talking to them, and then it was just really, really natural, and they were a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, how lucky to live next to Chris that you can go like see that anytime you want.
Right.
And he loves it. He loved putting on shows for them.
She likes it too. She likes all the dances and how it is.
Yeah. Who's your favorite character?
Probably Fats. Which one's your favorite, Starla? Billy Bob. Talk. Billy Bob. Your favorite one's Billy Bob?
they absolutely love it. They come over every opportunity they can. But
Yeah, I would too.
kids in the neighborhood like to come watch it. And we had a few birthday parties here, absolutely for free. My payment is to see the joy in the child that I had when I was their age. I want to share that with everybody that wants to see it.
I like the show. I like the chicken dance. It gives you excitement. You get real excited, your heart's beating. Basically, you just dance around and have a lot of fun. I like Billy Bob is my favorite. I think he's my favorite.
I think Billy Bob's my favorite also. If I had to pick.
Yeah, he's really good.
It's just so memorable.
This was definitely not their first time doing that.
Nope.
Yeah.
But Chris was also, as a DJ, I think he probably, at a skating rink, they probably did this kind of
Right,
stuff. So
yeah.
he's like born to do this kind of thing and entertain. He just loves it.
Oh, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor?
The first time I went to ShowBiz was in 1984, and I was 4 years old.
I love this footage.
Yep. It's hard to explain how those places looked to people, and seeing that really kind of sells it, like the huge showrooms.
This little girl in my class had called and invited me to this place called ShowBiz Pizza, and I had no idea what to expect. I was just told there were these robots and pizza. I'm expecting these robots bringing pizza to the table, and I get there and there are these like giant plush animals singing to us while we're eating pizza, and I was just astounded. I was like, this is so cool.
In my schoolwork and my journals and everything, I would write about
I'm so glad they had all these drawings.
I mean, look at that. He drew all the characters.
The font's so good. He did so good.
It was everything to me as a kid. It's hard to describe exactly how much it meant, because I don't know if there's anything today that strikes me that strongly as it did, ShowBiz when I was a kid.
I understand that feeling.
Teenager, and in my early 20s. And one of my friends actually introduced me to the Rock Afire. She lent me a Rock Afire tape, and I saw it, and I've never seen anything like that before.
I'd take the dolls, I'd take stuffed animals, and I would actually recreate the restaurant. I would play ShowBiz Pizza, and I'd have video games, and I'd make little...
That's amazing.
Back in those days at ShowBiz, you had the Billy Bob merry-go-round and the Billy Bob Ferris wheel, and that was all part of it. So Mom and Dad, they never had to tell me to go to study, and they never had to tell me to do my homework, because that's something I would always do on my own.
Yeah. Pictures are amazing.
ShowBiz.
But the big thing to me was the show, and I'd put records on, and I'd have little dolls, and I'd move them around.
Was that his stuff, or that was Travis? I guess it was. That's so good.
Oh, that picture's great too.
I did something. It was like, what do you want to do to celebrate? It was, let's go to ShowBiz.
So just the other day, my dad says,
That's actually me.
Yeah, right. This is good quality on this one.
Right?
This ad was for both. They had Chuck E. Cheese and ShowBiz with this ad. I remember seeing it. I feel like this was like almost early 90s that this was still on.
ShowBiz Pizza, where a kid can be a kid.
After Bob Brock and I met, late 1979.
And look at that logo behind him.
Yeah, this was his boardroom in the warehouse. This is a massive boardroom.
Yep.
We want you to build lots of shows. We're not talking about 10 shows
That guy's
a year
just
like you're used to. We're talking about 10 shows a month.
business.
Yeah, all business.
I always love that pause.
Yeah, because it looks like...
It's because we didn't have a clear picture of him, and we needed to show him, and it was only we only had a panning shot, so we paused it.
But it looks like the Sabotage video, Beastie Boys,
Yeah.
Welcome to ShowBiz Pizza, where we're glad to meet you and greet you.
It was a huge dream come true for us. It was like being in rock and roll. Exactly like being in rock and roll.
It was exactly like being rock and roll. I love that.
Aaron's dad.
Yeah. We met him at one of the festivals, I think, too, didn't we? Or no?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Tremendous dream. I was traveling to new restaurants.
Florida Film Festival, I think.
3 a week. And it was just going great guns all the way up to we had 100 restaurants open. And in fact,
There's a J.C. Penney's in the background.
opened in Dallas.
Of course.
Huge celebration. In fact, in that particular celebration,
That's ridiculous that someone made that.
Yeah.
helicopter where I did a performance as Billy Bob before hundreds, maybe.
Yeah, because Aaron he wasn't usually in that costume. He got...
So it was just a huge time.
That's...
that in my
Look at
life.
that 16 millimeter.
At that point, when we opened our 100th restaurant, that's when we realized, or that's when the people who controlled the money realized that we were losing money.
Parade.
Yeah.
This is my wife, Sandy Thrash. We've been married for 5 years. We met at the skating rink where I used to work.
There's another flip phone.
Yeah.
She's Rock-afire fan number 2.
God, look at that skating rink, man.
Those cars.
They used to, popular place to hang out after skating was be Walmart or Waffle House, and I thought he would be there.
For me, it was AutoZone and Sonic when I was in high school.
After the skating rink?
No, just after on the weekend.
There was a fan base. First, I didn't even know there was a fan base where there were people that actually still liked the Rock-afire Explosion. They grew up with it and they liked it. So when I found out there was a fan base, I was also told about this intriguing, young, beautiful fan named Carrie. And I said, well, that's cool, but I bet she's too young for me. And that was true too.
First night you come in the booth, I called you up in there.
Yeah, and he asked me what song could he play for me and all, and I was nervous and all. And I didn't talk much. And yeah, put my head down
The way he's holding his arm on her shoulder, and he's just so sweet. And
Yeah.
like, she was nervous about being on camera, and look, he's just so they're just the best.
my friend give him a hug, and then I'm a huggable person, so I hugged too.
Yeah.
So.
She was funny. I really enjoyed like getting to know her. you
Yeah.
know. And this, I mean,
Yeah.
he's not letting her talk. It's hilarious.
He's trying so hard not to talk. She's like, nah.
And she wouldn't talk. So I remember that phone call. She wouldn't say a word. And when the phone call was over, I was like, gee, she didn't say anything. So we're not going to get along very well. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe she's a good listener. And she is.
There's such a
Yeah.
I mean, their dynamics back and forth. Chris and Sandy and Aaron and Carrie. And their story is so sweet, like the skating rink thing.
Yeah, and the fact that they had the footage of the wedding or the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
But in that first phone call, I found out that she had made a video that commemorated or documented something about the rocket fire explosion. And so that gave us something in common. And she offered to send it to me if I promised not to laugh at it. And she sent it to me. It was a video about the rocket fire explosion.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Like, I
she
wasn't
made a little
doing this
movie.
stuff when I was like, did a little animated opening.
Right. She's a real. I mean, they were real fans too.
Yeah.
We dedicate this video to Aaron and Victor. And apparently they had written that.
That was one thing he was embarrassed. I thought I didn't think it mattered too much, but he didn't. He felt a little embarrassed that it just said for Aaron.
Right.
But
It's still sweet
yeah,
dedication.
I
He just
mean-
remembered it differently.
First to be at the skating rink because no one had ever been married in that skating rink ever. And I was telling me it just
That reminds me of Urban Cowboy when they get married in Gillies. Like, it just makes me think of just being in the place where they spent all their time. Let's just go ahead and get married there too. You know.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I asked her to get engaged to be married at
Yeah. He missed one. He missed one step.
the whole show.
It's amazing.
Out there on the skate floor and knelt down right in front of her and asked her to marry me. And she was so nervous and shy. We even played a little joke about it because I had already asked her before. But she acted like
Look at those kids.
me, you know, put her hand up and walked off, and I was like, well, you know, but it was just all play.
All this is just keeping their childhoods really close. You know. It's just like, I mean, it's the reason why we were looking up ShowBiz Pizza on YouTube.
Exactly.
Happened to be going right through Boston, and we arranged to meet each other in the summer of 2003. And that's when I found out something very funny about Carrie. She has a few funny.
It was a whole thing.
Like, for example, she's very afraid of spiders.
Who is it?
You know,
She did. Yeah.
I told you this already, but we accidentally dropped a box of spiders right on the other side of this door.
First, remove all props such as
And then just hit him with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we were just having fun, and then just let's just go. This was an editing choice. We talked about this.
Yeah.
all rocks and flowers and destroy all.
Well, we knew we had a lot of rocket fire explosion story to tell, and then we also really liked spending time with the people in the film, like, you know, so I had to balance both.
He said, destroy all these props as you'll never use them again.
Right.
I thought that for 10 years they was gone. It was just nothing. Just gone. All I had was a set of dolls and a audio cassette where I sat in front of the stage and recorded some of their shows on a tape. So it was horrible audio.
That's amazing.
But, it was all I had was a couple of records and that and some dolls.
Most kids, when they grow a little older, kind of outgrow showbiz, and I was at that age where it was not exactly the cool thing to be going to anymore. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and it had been a while since I'd been in one, and I noticed that they had changed the name to Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza, and I really didn't think too much of it. And
I think by the time Chuck E. Cheese started to really be a thing, I was already stopped going to. Like, I wasn't really aware of that changeover when I was a kid.
Probably a couple years
I always remembered ShowBiz, and that's what stuck with me. I never saw these characters.
Yeah, me either.
Like perform.
I think he just somehow went back and then saw that, and it like devastated him. It destroyed him. He was so upset.
Yeah, bastardized version.
So glad we got these tapes here. It was basically called the removal.
Concept elimination.
Concept elimination.
A concept unification.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were.
Look at that. He's moving his head around like, please don't take me away. Like their heads moving is always like, he's like, stop, someone help.
Yeah.
Of employees. ShowBiz Pizza Place got rid of lots of employees. They were trying to cut costs everywhere.
And at that point, the Rock-afire still existed, but they didn't have a place to go, and they began licensing them out to other restaurants because they had leftover inventory.
This tape was to show, I think,
how to swap
how
them.
to get rid of them properly, safely, to put the new show in.
Right, exactly. Yeah, concept unification.
Who has these things?
I know.
So imagine someone drove behind that ShowBiz that evening and found those and took them home.
Mm-hmm.
Cheese, and there was ShowBiz Pizza Place. And as badly as ShowBiz Pizza Place was doing, Chuck E. Cheese was doing worse. Now, I can veto.
Was this your dramatic song you made?
Yeah. Yeah, I did this one. Aaron is really, this scene, every time I watch it, every time I've seen it, it's like he's so into what he's saying, and he's just really opening up.
The end of the Rock-afire explosion. They were still willing to keep the Rock-afire explosion in ShowBiz Pizza.
That one's huge. Oh, look.
The only way they were willing to keep the Rock-afire explosion was if I gave them the copyrights. And they could then have complete and total control and power over the characters. That meant they get to decide what the voices are, what the scripts are, what the music is. They get to program them themselves. Everything they want to do. And I would have absolutely nothing to do about it, no say about it. But you got to realize, back then, I still felt like the Rock-afire explosion had a big future. Movies, cartoons. I wanted to go someplace else with the Rock-afire explosion besides pizza restaurants. I wasn't ready just to give it up. And besides, they didn't offer me a plug nickel for the copyrights. When I spoke to Gene Cram about this, who proposed to me...
Gene Cram. That's the one earlier. The freeze frame.
The copyrights, all ownership of the copyrights. He said, Aaron, what you get out of this is that your characters, Billy Bob, will live. They'll live on. But let me tell you something, if you don't accept this deal, and if you don't give us your copyrights, your characters are gonna die. We're gonna get rid of them, and we're gonna replace them with Chuck E. Cheese. I said, okay, I'll take that challenge.
I don't think we could have anticipated how actually dramatic this is. Not, just really, like, his experience with it is so, it meant so much to him.
Well, we didn't know. We had, these questions, and then it was like, I mean, we were, interested in all. It's this the whole journey of making this doc. We're sitting here like leaning in, just like listening to all this, like learning this, and
and it was even back in 2006 or whatever. It wasn't easy to find all this information.
Left the animation, the animatronics, everything that was on the inside pretty much stayed intact. They just kind of rearranged the characters, slapped different cosmetics on them, and tried to pass it off as a completely different show.
And that was the beginning of the end in terms of the Rock-afire being in ShowBiz Pizza. And I think for a time they did actually still have the Rock-afire in the stores, but after about 1990, they converted the concept over to Chuck E. Cheese, and that was that.
These might have been at Damon's. Probably when we were spending the night.
I definitely feel like these are my children. I'm concerned about the temperature in the room all the time. I'm concerned with the humidity. All these factors play in how well the characters do, and I always want them to be at the top notch. So it's like a parent caring for their child. You don't want to see your child suffer not for 1 minute, and it's almost like they're.
To me, this isn't any different than somebody like having a classic car in their garage.
Sure, yeah.
Or
collecting
anything. It's like he learns how to work on it. He learns how to fix it. You have to, because no one's going to work on this but him.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's in there every night, and every time he walks in, he's happy. Just like someone walks in the garage and sees their car.
And it's even stronger because of the childhood connection, and like connecting with the characters growing up.
They just come in here and make them all go away for me for a little while anyway. My dad, you know, he's sick right now with cancer, and he keeps going to Birmingham to do chemo, and he gets real sick when he comes home, and it seems like he gets worse and worse. And you know, I really wish that he would just live the rest of his life happy and not be sick, you know. And I'd like to invite him to come over here a few more times, you know, to share that with me. Because I really love him, and I'm going to miss him. And I hope that he stays 15, 20 more years, you know. You never know with that kind of thing. But it's problems like that are problems at work. Sometimes if you can't handle the stress of life, you know, people pick different ways to relieve that. And I don't choose to go to drugs or crime or anything like that. This is my escape from reality. And so it's very much a part of my reality, is this show. I need it, and it needs me.
Remember we had a Super for Animals song in here for a while?
Yeah.
This is actually Luke McKibben again. I think that this might be one where we both worked on it, because it's got little keyboard flourishes in it too. Oh, this is the same thing in the opening.
That's Luke right there.
Yeah, there's Luke. Those walk-arounds, those suits are awesome.
Back at Aaron's warehouse.
Yeah.
I've been programming shows again, partly because of Chris, being inspired by Chris, and wanting to, I don't know, now I've finally got...
It's funny, it was hard. I mean, these shots help a little bit, but it's really hard to capture the scale of that place with video, you know, I mean.
But also because the Jordan customer, the customer who's buying that show for Jordan, has asked me to program some new shows for him. So I actually get to...
That's where he sits and programs shows for the... He's still programming at this point, and he's doing it on that Apple too.
Yep.
As we come over here, this is a stage...
Mountain Dew.
And I call it a staging area, meaning that we're getting the stuff together to send out to one of my customers. This show is going to Jordan, and it's just like the Rock-Fire Explosion in every way, except that Fats has been changed and modified. According to the specifications they wanted to have a friendlier looking gorilla. They didn't want one that would scare the kiddies. And I think it scared some of the women too. But, you know, we changed them into a more friendly looking gorilla just for the Jordan customers. And we call him J-Fat.
J-Fats.
You're looking at the back end of what I call the Star Launcher, which is a machine I invented at the beginning of the century, 2000, that is still not ready. I need some new technology.
It's like karaoke.
It's got a TV in there.
Kiosk. So, you know, so it's still sitting here and probably will be for another 10 years.
I love that. The footage of that lady doing that.
Costuming department, or was the costuming department. Now, again, it's a mess. I apologize for the mess.
I was so happy doing this walk-around tour with him.
I know.
It was so fun. We asked him not to give us a tour first, and we just wanted to experience it with the camera and walk around with him for, you know, one time.
Yeah. I think that exactly, and I think what's really interesting is that we loved this tour so much. We loved walking around this place so much that I feel like today we'd probably have a lot of conversations about whether or not to put such a long tour in a movie, like kind of uncut in this way. I mean, it's not uncut, but, you know, but we loved it so much. We believed our audience would love it, and we just put it in. You know, like here, show them everything, because that's just part of the experience, and it speaks to a lot of stuff too. I mean, you know, all this dialogue that all this talking that he's doing. There's so many little nuggets of his memories and, you know, his sort of feelings about things and where things were that, I don't know, it's really like a rich experience, I think. This room with the melting stuff was nuts.
Yeah, it was really hot. Some rooms had AC and some did not.
Right. Hall of Despair.
And that's the room where his main interview is, right?
Yeah. Well, the boardroom one.
Let's see. Ah, look at that. We have blue lights on the ceiling. Very impressive.
What? I wonder what that lighting scheme was for, though. What would they do?
I feel like to make it like feel like a modern room, like a cool room.
What kind of work is done in that lighting, though?
like smoke weed.
Yeah, maybe. The way he's.
And Brad and
I couldn't deal with it.
We are like we collect vintage synthesizers and stuff. So when we got in this room, it was hard to concentrate and not be greedy and like ask how much could we buy stuff for or whatever, because there's so much cool stuff in here.
Compressor. Yeah,
I mean, look at that.
Yeah, it was crazy. And there was more. This
is nothing.
There were Prophet 5s leaning against the wall and all kinds of old analog drum machines everywhere, boards and tape reels and.
This room are all these white blobs, which are actually molds, and the molds is what we.
That stuff, God knows what's in that. And those barrels are insane.
Mask. Now this mask is way too thick. It can't be used. It's just total garbage. So.
Can I have it, please? That's all I'm thinking. When I'm filming this is like taking a mental note, what can I get?
Yeah. It's funny though, you know, for as big of an operation as it was, it still feels kind of homegrown when he's showing it like this, you know, it's like he had his hand in all of it.
So that's exactly how the masks were made?
Yeah.
Molds and laying up all these pieces. There was this huge laundry list of rubber pieces that we had to make up. So this was the desk that Ray, the giant in the basement, used to sit at. And he did all his airbrush work with his little tools and his paints. And
no mask, just airbrush all day.
You guy's an artist, though. Look at that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now, don't step in this right here. Whatever you do, do not step in that. We haven't had it analyzed.
I think someone stepped in that.
Yeah, I do. I remember seeing a footprint in that.
Like, I seriously think somebody stepped in it and was concerned.
It really did feel like you were in the bowels of the building.
Dude.
Here. Like this was the darkest, kind of strangest part.
There, like legit, I would not know how to get out to the front door from this location.
Yeah.
Like by myself. That's how far we're into this place.
It's true.
That's ridiculous. That tree is just so cool.
Yeah. I saw that stuff, and I think we all thought this. We were like, it's amazing to me that he didn't like.
Look at that.
That more people didn't just like pay him to make all that stuff.
All this stuff is just packed back here, but back here would be the Wizard of Oz show. I'm kind of shining the flashlight here on the Scarecrow, and there's a tent.
I mean, that thing's moving like the real Scarecrow.
Recites Shakespeare, and a few Rockfire Explosion characters without their costumes and their faces, and a couple of Uncle Clunks turned into Santa Clauses, and a whole bunch of pieces and parts. It would take a long time to go through.
Uncle Clunk is like a whole meme now, I think.
But it took a long time to build it too. There's some neat stuff back there. But that's what's wrong with the animatronic business. You build this really cool stuff.
Wow. Where's the clown?
Yeah.
Cool. You spend a fortune building it. You spend a fortune taking it to the convention and showing everybody, and everybody oohs and ahs over it. And then nobody buys it because it's too expensive. That's the business.
It's like documentary filmmaking.
It's like filmmaking. Oh, there were a bunch of crates. Oh, there were other crates behind the other side that had like some really creepy ones just standing up.
I'll just kind of carry this out of the way.
How fortunate or how lucky is it for the film that he had one, left?
The crates that you're looking at are the last crates that have explosions in them. The crates on this side are sold. These are the ones Andrew's getting, that he's going to put in his warehouse. He's going to have his rock fire explosion. The crates on this side.
I was always asking you, like, who's Andrew?
Yeah.
And I always wanted to, like tell our audience who Andrew is, and I think you were like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just his last customer, I guess.
But I also think we reached out to them, and they didn't want to reveal who it was.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
And we were just like, all right, fine. But yeah, you're right. That's like we're so lucky that we caught him at a time that he had one brand new Rockafire, a complete set, still in the basement.
And then that'll be the end of the sales of the Rockafire explosion forever.
Now we know that's Aaron playing the Rhodes there, or the Wurlitzer. We didn't like have him play this. He just played this, and we filmed it, and then it ended up working as score here. It wasn't like we had him score this, which I think is really cool. Like, he was working out the song, you know.
Yeah, he was trying to remember it.
Yeah. It's funny how some of the characters and the people resemble each other. People always, audiences would always laugh at that.
I've lost friends who were on my payroll, and they were my friends as long as they were on my payroll. And I've never had more friends as I had in 1981 and 82 when I had 325 people on the payroll. And it's true, when it was over, some of the people are still my friends and some of them aren't. But no matter who you are, no matter how cool you are, and I'm not cool, but even
I'm not cool.
and you make friends easily, you still can only count your friends on one hand. Is that the one that goes, we're having a birthday party, today is a special one, and having a birthday party is a lot of fun. And yeah, and that was actually one we called Sal's birthday, because the greatest musician I ever worked with, who we called Sal back in those days, wrote that. And a very touching song about
I don't think he talked about this stuff to anyone in a very long time.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's making me cry because I miss Sal. But
He was just in that place going about his life.
And
probably hadn't reflected on some of the people who left in a while.
Yeah, because you know, when they were hot, they were just all over the news and doing articles, and then once it kind of went away, he's still there.
Well, yeah, and he was always the boss, which always puts you in an awkward position with people you get close to, you know.
we're having a birthday party, day is a special one.
Try not to look at all that stuff around the studio there. It's just some clip speakers up there.
Yeah, like he's doing all the parts.
Yeah, I'm glad he did that. I think I played that organ for like an hour down there. Y'all were up doing something else because it sounded so good in there. It was, it was a legit studio, so it was like really quiet, really dead room.
The future of the Rockafire explosion, I think, is going to be pretty much limited to the online world.
Okay, so Travis's team Coca-Cola.
Uh-huh.
I don't think relate to moving robots, so I really don't see restaurants and amusement parks being...
People can't relate to moving robots.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that line has always made me laugh.
And in their memories. And I think that's pretty much what the legacy of the Rockafire is going to be. You know, they were a pop icon. They were huge at the time. And
Travis had so much from his childhood. A lot of those pictures are his.
Yep. And Chris has his perspective on it is so much more like it's going to be big again, and it's.
We had a whole scene we
with the two of
shot
them,
with the two of them, like together. They were hanging out. Chris was so nervous to be there with him. It's like a kind of a hero, and we didn't use it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's Chris Thrash right there.
Right, yeah. I think that it just, it kind of like, I don't know, it kind of spoiled something to have them together.
Yeah.
Especially in the middle of the film. I mean, that shot there works because we're wrapping up, I think, but.
As far as, I remembered them. I saw them as a kid, and most of them are grown up now and they have kids of their own. And they're like, I want my kid to see this. So I do. I hope they come back. Unfortunately, I don't believe we'll ever see Air Infector producing brand new shows again to be in store.
See, like, Chris is like hopeful that he will, and Damon's kind of taking an approach that, it's over. But both of them are keeping it alive.
Yeah.
From 325 employees to just me. And a lot of people were really great. There was a lot of great people here, and a lot of where you're at right now was just hustle bustle with artists and mechanics and engineers.
I think we were coming to a point have exhausted all my B-roll that I took of that building, and I remember like those were the last two shots we had.
Oh, I think you're right.
I mean, you think you've shot enough, and then you get home and you're like, man, I could use 5 more shots.
Yep. I don't think it's a problem we ever had again.
No.
More than 10 years ago. And he probably used this on his last day. And
I mean, he's not kidding when he says the tool that he just picked up had not been moved since that day that they closed. Like, I remember when one of the tools he picked up, you could look at the table and it was like clean under it.
Yeah. No, he came into this building every day, but he had a specific area that he worked in. And he didn't really go to the other parts.
Right.
He didn't even go into that office. That was his dad's office.
Right.
So, we were taking him to places that he hadn't been in a long time, like both physically and mentally. It was interesting.
For 20 years. And then there was the final day that the last 3, there were just 3 employees besides myself that left in the beginning of 2003. And on that last day, I had to learn to write checks myself because the last person to leave was my bookkeeper. I had to learn to reconcile bank statements and credit card statements. And as people left and as rooms closed down,
Experimental Rock-afire characters.
it just became stagnant. The things that sat there started collecting dust. They started deteriorating. Masks started melting in the heat. It sort of became spooky. And it happened over a large number of years. And as we go through the
That's one of the ones in those boxes. There were like a bunch of them like that were just really kind of horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It is spooky. But it's strange in a way because I don't really
Like,
have that much time.
I just decided to get some kind of fake dolly shot here.
Yeah, no, you got a Fisher or whatever. You got a.
No, I think it was
like a shopping cart. No, like a 4-wheel, something really impossible to move. We probably did that 16 times.
I'm like, please use that.
Right here in this mold, or we could pick up these tools and clean them and use them again. And somehow or another, I have this feeling that we're going to.
And so he's the final word on the hopefulness.
And then he does that, which always like, I don't know, there's something really powerful about that. I think we've always been like the little spaces in between things that happen like right before and right after. There's just some of that in here that like, it's interesting.
For 25 years they've been sitting in a crate and I just breathed the first breath of life into them. And, yet again, there's no words to describe it. I sat here and I cried like a child because my dream had just came true.
I mean, imagine like being like, some people go through their whole lives without like having something. Like imagine like working so hard for something and getting it all set up, and
Yep.
you walk in there and just see it, and it's like
Yeah.
done, and you know it's just like so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like for me, it's like so inspiring.
Yep, it is.
That's what I have at my mom's house.
Lucky.
She's gonna sell it in a garage sale one day, and I'm just gonna like die.
I think we knew we wanted to do this pretty early on because we shot this at Chris's,
Mhm.
and this was on our first trip.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, we're gonna end this song with a song. Oh, because we sent him the song. This is Super for Animals.
Yeah, and he had to program it. It was like
he
took him
programmed it.
weeks.
That's right. It took him weeks. He did a great job.
Yeah, like the right there, that mouth movement. That's great.
Right. I mean, like I can't hear this song without thinking about this.
Yeah.
Movie, and I think that if it just is, it's kind of perfect. I mean, you know.
I'm a man. You're a man too.
Nice drumming.
Mm-hmm. It's on beat.
Yeah, it is.
I want to live with you. In honesty, it's been a while.
That is a what is it, a blur inside?
Yeah.
What is it, a Vegas video?
Yeah.
Was what I edited this on, and
That was you wanting to see the whole thing, and again with the
Yeah,
lens.
the cut didn't work. I just needed to. I wonder how many times we filmed this. It must have been a lot.
Yeah, I remember. I actually kind of remember us taking like just going and filming and filming and filming. That looks like it's locked off.
I feel like we stayed on each character sometimes
Yeah,
for like the whole song,
yeah.
and then went to I don't
Just
know.
moving like really. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on beat.
Yep.
The tongue right there moving.
Yep. Well, those are little touches to the animatronics that I really think sell it. The tongue moving like that, the way that Looney Birds bounces like
Yeah.
on a spring, like with the beat. Those were things that they did that really sold that they were a band like rocking out. Yeah, Chris really did a good job programming that.
I'm Chris Thrash.
This was our film school, man.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea.
No, it's true. We just knew what we liked. But
Yeah.
This is Mitzi Mozzarella.
Yeah. What's funny about that is it happened like 6 times.
Yeah.
We could not get that thing to stay up.
Yeah.
One more question like that and this interview is over.
People always laugh at that.
I could say something about it, but I'm not going to because I want to keep it mysterious.
Okay.
We start, cut, we're done. And then at the end of the day, somebody has to yell, "That's a wrap."
That's his clapper, by the way. We didn't even have one.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
We
that's
didn't have
not
a
something
clapper.
we handed him. That's his clapper. I don't know why he had that, but we weren't sophisticated enough to have a clapper because our audio was going into the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to know that my show was still appreciated, even after all these years, you know, and it still has the magic.
He sent us that. That's his phone footage.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the deal is with that at this point. If he ever sold it.
No. This song though is like, ugh, it's so good.
Yep.
Gives me like all the feels with this footage.
Yep. Well, thanks to American Genre Film Archive for the release.
Yeah, this has been, like, we're so happy about this.
Yeah.
Like that it's getting redone and out there. Also, everyone involved.
Yeah, all these people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Luke, April. And right now, Brad and I are in Oregon finishing up a feature doc about Halloween Town, so.
Be on the lookout.